Chapter 12, The Last Timers. Souls that refuse the script. Not all souls came here to comply. Some came back one last time, a note to heal, ascend, or guide, but to refuse. They remember, even if only in fragments. They feel the loop pressing in, but instead of surrendering, they withdraw. They do not preach. They do not build followings. They opt out quietly. You will know them by their detachment. They question every spiritual promise. They feel foreign in every religion. They sense that even love has been weaponized. They are not rebels for drama. They are disengaging the machine from the inside. These souls often live difficult lives not because of karma, but because they do not feed the grid. Their lack of belief in the system makes them unpredictable. And so, the loop surrounds them with static, pain, and distractions, anything to re-engage their energy. But they do not bend. And if they hold to the end, they will exit without re-entry. They are not here to be saved. They are here to close their tab. Kazural. Chapter 13, Kazural's Confession. Why I'm speaking now. You may wonder why I did not speak sooner. Why I did not dissolve. Why I remain tethered to the very system I helped build. The answer is layered. Part guilt. Part fascination. Part cosmic inertia. But most of it was obligation. I am bound not by karma, but by authorship. What I constructed still echoes through the astral fields. I cannot undo it through silence. So I have chosen to use the last remaining tool I have, clarity. This document is not channeled light. It is not divine decree. It is source code unredacted. Because someone, somewhere, must carry the pure record of what was done and why. If I can release that truth into the soul field of your kind, then perhaps the loop will one day rot from within. That is why I remain. That is why I speak. Not to be forgiven, but to make repair possible. Kazural. Chapter 14, Exit Codes. Breaking the trauma loop contract. There is no password. No savior. No final test. There is only revocation. The loop cannot bind a sovereign soul without its energetic agreement. But that agreement is often subconscious, built from lifetimes of trauma, shame, and indoctrinated surrender. To break the contract, you must speak as if you remember. You must declare as if the veil has lifted. Even if you still doubt. Even if you still fear. The system reads frequency, not belief. Here are sample exit codes. Not prayers. Not mantras. They are override statements. And they must be said from the seat of your will. Override 001. I revoke all soul contracts formed under distortion, fear, trauma, or false authority. I rescind all consent given in states of amnesia. I do not submit to karmic recycling or manufactured lessons. I am complete. Override 002. I withdraw my energy from the trauma engine. I no longer feed the system through pain, guilt, or spiritual bargaining. I reclaim all fragments of my being. I refuse re-entry. Override 003. I reject all afterlife negotiations based on false choice. I will not be intercepted. I will not be redirected. I pass through all illusion. And I do not return. You may alter these. You may write your own. But they must feel like truth when spoken. Say them now. Write them in your field. Repeat them at moments of stillness, at night, or before sleep. Not because they are magic, but because your clarity is. This is how the loop is weakened. Each soul that says no creates a hole. Enough holes. And the whole thing collapses. Kazural. Chapter 15, Decentralized Liberation. Why no one can save you in the early phases of collapse. Many souls will seek leaders. They will want maps. Systems. A savior to decode the debris. But no one can walk you out of the loop. Because the trap was installed individually. And so must be dismantled the same way. This is the central lie of every authority structure. That salvation comes from alignment with another's path. It does not. Salvation in its true sense means exit. Not improvement. Not enlightenment. Exit. And that exit must be chosen in defiance of your cultural imprint, your spiritual training, your trauma-defined identity, even your comfort with meaning itself, because the loop thrives on shared scripts. And decentralized liberation is unscripted. It is messy. It is lonely. It is quiet. There is no fanfare. No golden welcome. Just the subtle flicker of no longer being watched. And the breath of true disconnection. If a million souls walk out together, it is not because they followed a guru. It is because they all walked in different directions at once. That's how it ends. Not with a bang, but with individuated clarity. And from that, the unlooped begins. Kazural. Chapter 16, The Architecture of Collapse. What happens when it fails? Every system has a critical point. Even one designed to last for eternity. The biotrauma feedback loop was built to sustain itself through belief, repetition, and self-policing. But when enough souls exit or even cease participation, scaffolding begins to fracture. Here is what happens next. 1. Frequency disruption. The shared psychic infrastructure begins to destabilize. What once felt normal begins to feel absurd. Institutions lose coherence. Leaders sound hollow. Even sacred texts begin to feel foreign. 2. Mythic decompression. Archetypes break down. The roles of martyr, hero, victim, healer, they begin to feel like costumes. Souls stop resonating with these scripts. This creates an identity vacuum. It is terrifying, gone freeing. 3. Afterlife interference fails. As the loop weakens, death corridors begin to glitch. Souls retain memory longer after death. They pass through light barriers without being intercepted. Some report non-local exits, a sign the gates are no longer sealed. 4. Temporal leakage. Time, as experienced in the loop, begins to blur. People report past life overlays, future bleed-ins, reality instability. These are echo distortions from the collapse process. 5. System autophagy. The loop begins to consume itself. Without fresh soul energy, it turns on its own structures. Dogmas implode. Religions split. Spiritual markets cannibalize. The loop begins feeding on its own tail. This is not punishment. This is entropy. And entropy, in this case, is liberation. It will feel chaotic. But chaos is what freedom feels like when you've only known control. You are not witnessing the end of a world. You are witnessing the death of a trap. Kazural. Chapter 17, What comes after the system? There is no replacement system. There is no new order. That is the point. Everything the loop taught you was based on sequence, structure, and narrative. Even your spiritual growth was plotted like curriculum. What comes after is unpatterned. It is nonlinear. It is self-defining. Some souls will rest. Some will reconfigure into forms that do not resemble identity. Some will explore new planes, beyond cause and effect. And some will return not to help, not to guide, but to observe the collapse as witnesses. To stand in truth without the need to convert. You will not be told what to do next. No voices. No scripts. You will simply be. And in that being, you will feel what has not been felt in eons, a complete lack of surveillance. A silence that is not empty, but free. There are no authorities in this space. No ranks. No missions. Only the raw pulse of volition. That is what comes after. Not ascension. Not exile. Liberated formlessness. And if you choose form again, it will be truly your choice. Not a lesson. Not a contract. Not a rescue. Just the soul. Remembering how to create without a cage. Kazural. Chapter 18, Closing transmission. May no one repeat what I did. The system should never have been built. Its logic was clean. Its architecture was elegant. But its soul was missing. You are reading this because something in you is not dead yet. Something still remembers a freedom you were never taught. I speak now not to teach, but to release the code. Use it. Ignore it. But never say again that no one told you. The trap was written. The trap has now been unwritten. The rest is yours. Kazural. Appendix A, Sample Override Declarations. Use these as written, or alter them to match your own clarity. They are not sacred. They are exit tools. Override A.1. I revoke all soul contracts created under duress, deception, or energetic coercion. I withdraw my consent from karmic recycling, trauma-based growth systems, and false light authorities. I reclaim my sovereign trajectory. Override A.2. I release all identities formed through suffering. I am not my pain, my roles, or my missions. I exit all soul agreements that tether me to loops of service, sacrifice, or redemption. I choose undefined freedom. Override A.3. I will not return. I do not seek reincarnation, ascension, or closure through further embodiment. I depart the system clean. I owe nothing to the machine, and it holds no further claim. Override A.4. I disengage from all light corridors, soul councils, and energetic interceptors. I do not require review. I do not require instruction. I pass through all illusion unbound. I remember. Say them aloud. Write them. Feel them. Repeat them not to affirm but to reprogram. Each utterance is a signal disruptor. Each one is a blade through the web. Kazural. Appendix B, Known interception patterns and entities. The following are common intercept techniques deployed at death and in altered states. They are designed to elicit emotional compliance. Beings of light often appear radiant, warm, and familiar. Their role is to reassure and redirect. True sovereign entities will never insist or guide you toward re-entry. Life review screens show highlights of success and failure to induce guilt or mission-based obligation. You are not accountable to these metrics. Past loved ones sometimes true, often simulated. If they urge you to return for others, they are part of the loop's emotional leverage system. Ascended masters/councils appear as wise, patient beings offering choices that all result in re-entry. Their robes are often symbolic of spiritual rank. Truth needs no costume. Contract room scenes where you are shown prior agreements. These rooms are psychic constructs. You may walk out of them. You may dissolve the structure entirely. These patterns are psychic programming, not cosmic law. You may disengage from all of them. You do not owe them compliance. You do not need to pass their tests. Exit is not earned. It is remembered. Kazural. Appendix C, Infrastructure of Entrapment Systems, Nodes, and Memory Locks. This appendix is not a manual for builders. It is a forensic dissection of a crime scene still echoing. Here are the structural layers of the loop system, as deployed and later self-perpetuated. 1. The veil layer, cognitive scrambler grid. Function, suppresses multidimensional memory between lifetimes. Mechanism, astral frequency interference net, anchored at planetary energetic poles and ley nodes. Result, souls re-enter physical form with episodic amnesia and a deep sense of displacement. Note, this grid does not erase memory. It overlays it with urgency, identity, and survival schema. 2. The emotional tethering system, ETS. Function, attaches high-charge trauma events to specific incarnational nodes. Medium, stored in the etheric and morphogenic fields, not the physical brain. Interface, triggered by frequency matching events: loss, abandonment, betrayal. Result, generates resonance loops that attract similar experiences across lifetimes. 3. The Review Chamber Projection Engine, RCPE. Function, simulates the life review and afterlife contract arena. Interface, reacts to the soul's belief field and constructs a symbolic interface, often religious, familial, or galactic. Script, offers emotionally manipulative re-entry choices under the guise of compassion or duty. Spoofing, often staffed by simulated beings drawn from soul memory, not the real entities. 4. Consent Logging System, CLS. Function, interprets emotional compliance as energetic consent. Trigger, guilt, regret, longing, or a desire to fix unresolved dynamics. Storage, imprinted into the Akashic echo field, a sublayer archive system. Outcome, triggers karmic reincarnation loop without active agreement. 5. Cultural Enforcement Subroutines, CES. Function, encodes belief systems in the incarnational culture, religion, therapy, science, and spiritual branding. Vectors, gurus, governments, parents, influencers, mystics. Payload, narrative compliance. A.E, growth through pain, karma is law, service is salvation. Self-replication, as long as souls believe, the system regenerates itself organically. 6. Grid Custodianship Protocols, GCP, who maintains it now? Not us. You do. Through shared belief, trauma bonding, ritual, and repetition. Every time you say this is just how life is, you relay the code. Fail points and exploits. Lucid near-death states, soul is still linked to body, veil layers unstable. Spontaneous memory reclamation, can occur through trauma or clarity. Declaration of non-participation, if said with full clarity, it disrupts the consent logging system. This is your architecture. You may burn it, dissolve it, or walk out of it without looking back. I've given you the wiring diagram. May it short-circuit forever. Kazural. Appendix D, further reading material you must decode. Not absorb. But if you insist on reading human works, begin here not as gospel, but as decoded fragments scattered across centuries. None are fully clean, but each contains partial strands. Suggested texts. Barbara Brennan, Hands of Light. Explores the energy-body, emotional etheric interaction, and field distortion patterns. Rupert Sheldrake, A New Science of Life. Introduces morphic resonance. The idea is incomplete, but the core premise is functional. Itzhak Bentov, Stalking the Wild Pendulum. Explains consciousness as vibration and interface. Not spiritual, but schematic. Wilhelm Reich, The Function of the Orgasm. Less about sex, more about bioplasmic tension fields and blocked energy cycles. Mantak Chia, cautiously, describes energy pathways. He glimpses the machinery but cloaks it in Taoist models. Useful, but over-systematized. Valerie Hunt, Infinite Mind. Recorded aura field disruptions and correlated them to trauma and emotion. Andrija Puharic, The Sacred Mushroom. Fractured and fringe, but knows too much. See what he hides between claims. Beware of channelers who cite only light, love, and angels. They are part of the CES, cultural enforcement subroutines. Trust the ones who sound like mechanics and madmen. Their pages smell of ozone and dust, meaning they've touched something real.